What is going on, boys? Swaggy here in the reaction video. Now today we'll be reacting to something different as well. Today we'll be reacting to apparently fixing Funko's awful FNAF Plushies FNAF 1. So it's very well said that Funko messes up release dates and has the occasional leak. And yeah, sometimes that's just not okay as well. That's just that's bad. Leaking your own oh my god, that can't be me. That can't be me, honestly. But yeah, apparently a lot of them are pretty bad, so I'm going to watch this video to see how they would fix it themselves. Now, honestly, hope they're better than the originals. They have to be if they're fixing them. Anyways, of course, go check out the original channel. I'll leave a link to it. I'll leave a link to the original video in the description below where you can go check them out and subscribe to their channel, as it greatly helps them. And I know and I want you guys to help them and support them in any way possible. And of course, if you want to support this channel in any way possible as well, the only thing you really got to do is like the video and subscribe. That's really how it helps, and honestly, I greatly appreciate it if you did that. We're almost at 300 subscribers, which I'm honestly baffled by. I started this like the beginning of the year with only 30 subscribers. Now I'm at 300. It's been times by 10 within the span of a whole almost a year. Yeah, pretty much a year now. It's November. Hold up, I think someone's calling me. I thought I heard it. Give me a second. Okay, looks like they weren't calling my name. I was just delusional. I was hearing things. Trust me, it's not as common as you think. This doesn't happen to me regularly. Oh man, I'm kind of hungry too. This is usually the time I eat some food as well, when I'm not making videos. Anyways, let's not delay any further. Like I was saying though, hit that like button, subscribe. It greatly helps with the channel, and it helps me, very much so. And I greatly appreciate if you did that, as well as yeah, just go support the original channel. They work really hard on these videos, and honestly, they deserve a lot more credit than they get. Okay, I'm done sucking up to people. I'm done, for now at least. Wait till the next video, bro. Anyways, I'm gonna get to it. I'm not gonna get any distractions anymore, and let's get into it.
As anyone who has taken
I'm
a
gonna start
single
eating
step
food
into
now.
GameStop or Hot Topic knows, Five Nights at Freddy's has a mountain's worth of merchandise. And how much of it is good? Two things. Most of this is predominantly consumed by children who are excited to get their hands on anything related to a game franchise.
I don't know how I'm gonna eat this, bro. It's like ribs.
Quality or legitimate value. Hence, the franchise's ability to clutter the shelves of your favorite store with cheap plastic nonsense. If you ask the larger fan base, most of them will echo the sentiment that most of this merch is just complete garbage, and that a large portion of what you see is not something a super fan or a collector would really be interested in purchasing. That being said, there is a smaller portion of product lines that are held in pretty high regard amongst the community. Most of the Funko figurines are actually really nice and well made. The McFarlane construction sets are pretty neat, and a lot of people really like some of these mystery minis. I'm not one of them, to be honest, although they are way better than the shitty Funko Pops, so I'll give them that. But, of course, when discussing any franchise's merchandise, most people's minds jump to the most common and easily marketable form: plushies. FNAF was an obvious contender for this merch treatment in particular, given that the characters are owned by a brand in-universe, and plushies of them exist and are directly shown in-game. Given the rising popularity of the first game, it was only a matter of time before real plush toys directly based on these were created. And yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened. In 2015, about a year after the first game's release, the game and anime merchandising store Sanchi released the very first line of officially licensed FNAF merch, including some posters, Halloween masks, collector coins, and 5 plushies. On top of being the first and only plushies at that time, which was novel and exciting, these haven't been beaten in terms of quality or fan admiration to this day. That's right, the first plushes knocked it out of the park right at the get-go, and are still regarded as the holy grail of FNAF merch by the larger fan base. Except maybe with different wording, because that sentence sounded dumb as hell. These guys were extremely accurate to the in-game plushes, were a hefty 8 inches tall, were stitched incredibly well, were made of high-quality fabrics and material, and just went far and beyond with small extra flourishes, like Chica's Cupcake being magnetized to her arm and removable. Unfortunately, these guys were in very low close supply and went out of stock very quickly. This scarcity made original Sanchi plushes super hard to get your hands on and fetched for quite a pretty penny. I was actually fortunate enough to get an original Freddy as a gift before they sold out back then, and I'm super happy to still have this guy.
Oh
it's a
my
shame
god,
I wasn't
that's
able to
lucky.
get any of the others, but oh well. But wait, hold the phone, fuckos! I actually didn't know before researching this video that Sanchi actually recently did a restocking in late 2020. And at the time of recording, most of these are still in stock, so hey, go nab those suckers if you want.
Oh, it's already been months from that.
For a while, things would lay dormant in terms of FNAF merch. I know, our beloved commercial is
Don't worry,
ended,
I'm eating food right now.
In around 2017,
I didn't eat food before.
some FNAF-related products would begin to appear on store shelves,
Yeah.
including more plushies. The manufacturers being, this time, Funko. Now, for FNAF fans who just enjoy stuff and don't worry themselves about silly little things like their Chica figurine's eye color, this is a pretty neat deal. Under Funko, we get a lot more plushies of a lot more characters, this time more commercially available and at a more moderate price. But for people like me, the name Funko set off a huge red flag. Being the larger manufacturer that they were able to produce a lot more in terms of product. But at this quantity, there tended to be some wavering quality. Funko
I would say that if you're gonna mass produce things, then the quality's just gonna drop.
Merchandise fame was the most divisive figurine line of all time. We had reason to be worried. But was that worry right in the end? Yeah.
Why does she look like that?
These plushies are kind of all over the place. There's the half-decent ones, the ones, the charmingly bad ones, and you know, as fun as it is to dunk on these horrid plush cretins, the situation as a whole is kind of a huge bummer. Not only is Funko a terrible company that prioritizes cheap production over the quality of the customer experience, cares little about the representation of many of the IPs they're trusted with, has leaked content for upcoming games against the IP owner's wishes, often straight up steals fucking fan art for their products, is even rumored to treat employees terribly. Okay, never mind. You guys didn't come here for an anti-capitalist tangent, did you? Oops. There are so many characters from this franchise that so many people would love to have quality plushes of. Instead, these plushies either are entirely non-existent or do exist, just in a horribly cheap and disappointing state. So, I thought it would be interesting to have some fun and try fixing all these guys, going game by game and creating hypothetical plush toy replacements for these characters that I personally would like to see. And hey, while I'm at it, I'll be making completely original plushes for characters that don't have any yet, which is a surprising amount. I wish Funko stopped releasing entire waves of recolors instead of giving rep to other characters. Who am I kidding? They're a corporation. So, before we get into the...
And besides, there's way too many designs. There's way too many games being released at different points in time.
Hopefully going to resolve the main issues that many people have about the Funkos, myself included. Rule number 1, they have to resemble the character and encapsulate their main characteristics. As obvious as that sounds, we all know Funko misses this constantly. These plushies should have the main components of each respective design present in order to resemble the character correctly. This means that small important details should be correct as well, like, I don't know, correct colors. Rule number 2. We all have to follow the plushie body silhouette guidelines set by the in-game plushes relatively close. Since we have these little fellas as a template, we'll make sure all of the plushes fit in with each other and go by the same design conventions. That means the same relative size of head, body, and limbs. Some of these will have to stray a tad from these exact shapes, since some characters have massively differing body shapes, but never to the extent that some of these Funko plushes go, where the bodies are altered way too much and don't even fit in with the others anymore. Why the fuck is Toy Chica the only one with toes? Rule number 3. They have to be stylized in an appealing and cute way. Although it can be tempting to add every single detail found on the actual designs in-game, this often does not result in the most appealing plushie. It's important to keep the most important broad stroke details of a certain character to ensure a resemblance, but leave out the tiny, unimportant ones that would clutter the design. This should be done not only to have a product that's pleasing to the eye, but also noticeably cute and cuddly. This is a horror series with intentionally scary and unsettling designs, so this seems like it would be the wrong choice. But plushies are meant to be cute and stylized recreations of characters.
Exactly.
If someone is wanting the horror aspect of these characters to be front and center in their toy, a detailed figure would probably be the thing they would most likely go for, not a huggable plushie. Now, these first 3 rules are the most important and most difficult to apply. Finding that perfect balance between keeping the characters accurate and recognizable,
but also small and similar,
and be actually cute to look at can be quite a task, especially for characters like the Nightmares. But hey, I'll try my darn best. Rule number 4. Simple recolors are only for characters that reuse models in the games. Funko loves saving money and reusing bases for similar characters, often when it results in a worse plushie. But for ours, we're only doing it for the characters that warrant it. So Freddy and Toy Freddy aren't just going to be recolors with cheeks slapped on, but intentionally different plushes. These are very different models after all.
Yeah.
But characters like Withered Freddy and Phantom Freddy are the same models in-game, just retextured, recolored, and changed in tiny subtle ways. So our plushies will work the same way. Rule number 5. They must be believable real-world plushie designs, and at least some attempt must be made to make them actually manufacturable. Now, let me come clean on something. Not a plushie expert. I've never made a plushie toy or stuffed animal and don't know the exact intricacies of how these things are made step by step, so making these designs is going to be a large portion both wishful thinking and guesswork. However, using what I know about them and examining other plushies I own, I'm going to at least make these as believably makeable as possible. For instance, I'm going to be drawing functional stitching to the best of my knowledge, add details to make these guys able to sit and stay together on their own, and make note of specific materials and techniques that I know to be used on other plushes in the market.
Yes.
At the end of the day, though, I'm not putting these together physically with my hands in order to know if they're feasibly manufacturable or not.
Sorry about me eating the entire basically half the time.
Rather than
I am quite
plush
hungry.
blueprints or something. Rule number 6. No characters left out. That's right, baby. We're avenging all those lost to the Funko black hole. We're making plushies for all characters from every game. Obviously, I'm not going to scrape the barrel of obscurity dry, and some non-animatronics or unseen characters are going to be left out, namely all the weird pizzeria sim things, the 8-bit minigame characters, characters that we know to exist but have never really been seen, and characters from the books. Any that I do make from any of those will just be fun bonuses I decide to throw in. And no fucking exotic butters. Why the fuck would you make a shitty meme into a plush? Alright, those are the rules.
Exotic butters.
These aren't 100% concrete. Like I said, they can be difficult to balance for some characters and may need a tiny bit of wiggle room. But for the most part, this will be the FNAF Plushie Bible. Once again, an awful sentence I just said there. Oh, and another thing I thought I'd mention, I'm not considering this a full-on review of these plushies. Although I am doing a dive into the designs to fix them, I don't actually have any of these guys in front of me to examine. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This video is gonna take way longer than I usually make these videos. So I'm gonna have to announce that this video is gonna be late. This video is too long, it's 20 minutes! Oh my god, I made this so late. Oh my god. Okay, I'm about to, hold on, give me like 5 seconds. I gotta tell everybody this video is gonna be late. Okay, I just put it out there that video is gonna be late, so honestly, I hope you guys can forgive me. This video is quite long. It's 26 minutes in general. I'm only in 9. Let's get into it before I get distracted anymore. Aside from like 2. So if you want a proper product review of these plush toys, there's a lot of really nice videos out there already. I'd recommend animatronics reviews. Go check them out if you haven't seen them. So let's get on with it, I guess. Up first, we have the classic.
FNAF 1.
This is actually one of the better Funko plushes. It's heavily based on the Sanchi plush, although a few pegs down in terms of quality. Fairly inoffensive all around, a pretty decent recreation of the in-game plush for the cheap price tag. But there are little things that bother me, of course. He's surprisingly a pretty light color, quite a bit lighter from FNAF 1 Freddy. His base tone is actually closer to Toy Freddy than it is OG Freddy. And even weirder, Funko's Toy Freddy recolors of this plush are darker? I don't know. I think they used Help Wanted's Toy Freddy model for reference, which for some reason also has a darker brown than it should be. I don't know. This light color for regular old Freddy is shared with the Sanchi plush as well. Again, doesn't look bad, but I do wish it was a little bit darker. The shape of his head and facial features are noticeably off as well. Not to a terrible extent, but Sanchi's interpretation of the plushy face is a lot more pleasing. Those eyes are bugging. Now here's where we really get into nitpick territory for me, but I don't like the brim of the hat. All the Funkos with hats have these thin fabric circle cutouts to act as the brim. It's not terrible, but just gives off a bit of a cheap, flat look. They can warp easily and turn into weird, wavy flaps, and would have just been better as a thicker plush material, or even just thicker cloth or something. The Sanchies
Yeah.
did the same thing, hence why all the plushes followed suit, unfortunately. Another thing that a lot of the plushes have, including the Sanchies, are these eyebrow flaps. These things bug the shit out of me for some reason. The ones that stick straight up look okay, but if you have a plush with anything but perfect stitching, these flaps can point all sorts of wacky directions. I really don't know what they were going for
The
here.
rock
It was
emote. The
probably
rock just like.
easier to stick a little piece of fabric in the seam while putting these guys together so they didn't have to sew them on afterwards. I don't know. Luckily, Funko eventually phased these out and went for sewn-on ones that honestly look a lot better. At least,
Yeah.
you know, just in the eyebrows. So yeah, overall, not a terrible plush, but can definitely be improved. So
Yeah.
let's fix this guy.
Alright.
We have a darker
Bam.
brown closer to the actual
Heck
Freddy,
yeah.
a thicker plush brim instead of the thin cloth one,
Yeah.
and some thick sewn-on eyebrows instead of those dreaded flaps. For his snout, the top and bottom jaws are now two separate pieces sewn securely together in order to make them more distinct and separated like the in-game plush. And
Yep.
the seam down the middle of the top jaw is thicker and tighter, making the two sections pop out a little more, giving him that cute, almost puppy-like mouth. Besides these few changes, this is pretty much just like the Sanchi design though, because no point in fixing what ain't broken. Ayy. So there we go, one plush done and fedied.
Yes, sir.
Next, good old Bonnie.
Bonnie's my name,
Another plush
Yeah.
that's not half bad, but still a noticeable downgrade from the Sanchi. Once again, the face isn't the best. We have another case of the buggy eyes as well, which feels a lot worse for Bonnie's due to the plush's
looks
eyes
round.
being larger
His
than
face
Freddy's.
looks
There are
fat.
some pictures where he's fucking zonked, man. And the most popular criticism of this plush, the ears. Again, they're
Zonked.
serviceable, but the
Such a
placement
good
of
description.
both touching each other directly in the center of the head looks really odd. My guess is that this was done to keep the cheap, flimsy ears to stay upright, I guess. Some wire or plastic inside would probably do the job, but who knows how badly Funko would fuck that up. So let's give him the old 1-2. I changed up the face even more so from the Sanchi to look more like Bonnie and the in-game plush. Bonnie actually has a distinct head and face shape apart from Freddy, with a larger bottom jaw and a smaller top snout. So that's what I did here. He's got eyes that are a little closer together this time, and of course, I fixed the ears. Sanchi's re-release of the Bonnie plush actually has this one bent ear, just like the game plush, which is a really nice detail to add from the last version. I did the same here, but a bit farther apart. So yeah, there he is.
Oh, that's a big improvement.
Chica.
My sweet pooch.
And
Ooh,
there we
welcome
are,
Planet
our
Dog.
first noticeably terrible plush. Wow, that was just 3 yen. I think they...
It looks like that one
The
email that
Chica
should.
plush is one of the most notorious of the Funkos, just due to how bewilderingly bad it looks. This thing could straight up pass as a bootleg, like, come on. If it wasn't for the bib, this would literally just look like an angry little chicklet. They got none of her main features here. The trouble area is, of course, the beak. That's this tiny little pointed thing, rather than Chica's more rounded bill-looking beak. Maybe this beak was too complicated for their lower budget, so they tried a simpler version like they did with Freddy and Bonnie and horribly failed. Maybe there was some other bird-like plush Funko had made at some point that they decided to just reuse portions of to save money and time. Maybe they used an unofficial fan model or drawing for reference, as they've been known to do. Or maybe, just maybe, the designer didn't give a shit and just slapped it together as quick as possible.
Damn.
I'll let you be the judge. Then there's these weird, angry eyebrows, which is not an expression FNAF 1 Chica has ever made, as far as I can tell. This gives me more reason to believe that this was based off of fan art of some kind. That, or they looked at the few official instances of Freddy with angry eyebrows and decided to apply that to Chica to make her look more like an evil horror game monster and less like, I don't know, Woodstock. And of course, there's the bib. Oi, look at that shimpy little thing. There's no cash in any bloody pizza spatterings, I can tell you. Hey, it looks like they went for that Link to the Past flower cut for her. Interesting choice. The Sanchi plushie is a million times better. They just nailed this Chica. It's so good, in fact, that there's only 2 things I've changed for my design. The eyebrows, like we've discussed before, and the stomach, which is now solid yellow like the rest of her body, as opposed to the lighter stomach Sanchi and Funko used. The rest is pretty much identical to the Sanchi. We have, of course, that adorable little removable magnetic cupcake. We have the much better face. She's got her proper bitchin' hairstyle, not a kappa head, and her bib design straight from the game rather than... Oh my god, why the fuck couldn't they have just asked Scott for the bib? So there she is, Chicken.
Yeah!
But there's actually something else about this design that I should address. I don't know if you noticed it, but why does Funko Chica have orange feet accurate to Chica herself and this one does not? Well, Sanchi Chica has the yellow and light yellow feet, and that's because the actual in-game plush is the same way.
Yo,
This doesn't really make
they're
sense for
accurate to the
Chica, given that
plush.
she has
That's
clearly
adorable.
distinct orange-colored talon feet, when the others are their base body color. Well,
That's
I'm
adorable.
guessing Scott did this both to be uniform with the other plushes and keep her design uncluttered, given all of those extra colors from the Cupcake and Bib that the others don't have. So I was kind of torn on what to do for my design. Should it be more accurate to the plush with yellow feet, or more accurate to the animatronic with the orange? Well, personally, I like the yellow feet more. Like I said, it balances out the extra clutter she receives from the Bib and Cupcake, and overall reflects the simpler look the Gen 1 Chica has, just in plushie form. But just to be thorough, I made a variant with orange feetsies. There you go, free bonus.
Yeah.
So, third felty bitch down. Now let's move on to, you guessed it,
Foxy?
the Cupcake actually.
Oh.
Obviously, our Chica plush already has the Cupcake with her, but a lot of people would prefer to have a full Cupcake plush to set up as well, hence why Funko has a separate plush for them. And yeah, it's a decent plush. It looks visually appealing, but doesn't really resemble the FNAF Cupcake a whole lot. They decided to take away the one characteristic that kind of made this Cupcake distinguishable.
The yellow
and
is.
that's the teeth. Now it's just a cupcake with eyes. A cute one, yeah, but
It's got
is
blue
it
eyes. The other one had
cupcake?
yellow eyes.
You know, the most important fucking FNAF. I can understand the exclusion of this in the miniature prop one for Chica's plush. It's smaller and meant to be a simplified accessory, obviously. But there's really no excuse for the full-sized cupcake. And what a surprise! The colors are incorrect. Seemingly because they based this design off of the cupcake from FNAF World instead, where they have blue eyes and candle stripes instead of yellow. Which I can sort of understand, actually. I think this color scheme does pop just a tad better than the other, but given the pukey doo-doo colors they chose for the cupcake base, I don't think the blue was a decision made out of visual integrity, so first off, I'm making the shape and features more exaggerated and chibi to fit in with the same conventions amongst the others.
Poggers!
Eyes and a sort of squished bastard.
Oh, poggers.
And
gross.
we have those crucial teeth, which will just be a little cloth
Yo,
flap hanging off
epic.
the bottom of the pink, of course. And
Epic
the proper
gamer.
FNAF 1 colors. And, as another bonus, I made an alt version with the blue parts. Again, I personally like the yellow for accuracy's sake, but hey, here's both for you FNAF World freaks out there.
Nice,
There we go.
I like it. I like it.
Now,
Ad. I got an ad halfway into this. No, I can't deal with an ad. What's going on, boys? We're back. The ad ended. Let's get into this. Let's get back. No distractions.
now, on to my man, Foxy. So, I'll just go ahead
I
and say it
am
right
half
off the bat.
Fox.
This is probably Funko's best FNAF plushie they've ever made. Not saying much, I'd still only describe it as a decently good plush, not a great one, but this one definitely lost the least amount of quality when put through the old Sanchi to Funko converter. It was honestly a bit more difficult to tell them apart when just glancing through Google Images this time. Although there are noticeable differences when inspected, this is still a quality, cheaper version of the Sanchi. So, good on you, Funko, for making a semi-quality plush.
Yeah.
Now, let's fucking bully this guy. The first thing that's somewhat easily noticeable is how weird the inside part of his ears and eyebrows look. And that's because they're this weird brown color as opposed to the darker red in game. Looks kinda yucky against the more vibrant red. And for some reason, the shape of his teeth are these dumb-looking popsicle stick shapes instead of Foxy's iconic sharp toofs. But yeah, not much else that noticeable aside from the general Funko cheapness. So let's fix this old swashbuckler up, as they say in Idaho. The Funko and the Sanchi both have basic round snouts, but much like Bonnie, Foxy should actually have a very large and prominent lower jaw. So would only make sense to reflect that more in his plushie design. And I also changed his nose a bit. When examining Foxy's plushes, I was always kind of put off by the straight up realistic dog nose that they use, like the ones you'd see on stuffed dog toys. I find it just a bit lazy that they just slapped on a pre-existing nose mold instead of creating a new one for Foxy, like a regular plastic button nose just with little nose holes. So that's what I'm gonna do. The teeth are more triangular and straight, the eyebrows are fixed like all the others, and the colors are correct. The eyebrow and ear parts are now a dark red instead of brown, and his fur color overall is a darker red to match Foxy. And there he be, done.
Yeah!
But, just like Chica, there are a few missing details I noticed when drawing these. In-game, of course, Foxy has noticeable wear and tear in multiple spots in his body, most noticeably his legs, which are completely bare, revealing his metal endoskeleton. But, the question comes, should this plush have this as well? Well, nah, I don't think so. I know Foxy's whole thing is being out of order and worn down, but it doesn't really make sense to reflect that in his plushie form. Would be too much clutter on his design in my opinion, and we'll probably want to save those details for the withered animatronics, who will need to be distinguished from the originals in several ways.
Yeah.
Also, I figured some of you little fuckos might bring up his hook as a point of contention. I can't figure out a way to work this into his design without looking bad, so in that regard, I'm just gonna keep him with two normal hands, just like in game. But hey, those aren't the only things to consider. How about them pants? In game, Foxy straight up has brown shorts / pants, yet this plush has none. I honestly don't know why this wasn't done, given that this is sort of Foxy's main and only article of clothing. So here's an alt with some cloth pants. Once again, tell me what you think. I don't fucking know. Now, moving on to Golden Freddy. So, predictably, both Funko and Sanchi's plushies are just simple recolors of Freddy, which makes sense, as that is essentially what Golden Freddy is. However, given the character's distinct ghostly presence and overall importance to the franchise, I wanted to do a little more for him. Old G-Fred's signature and pretty much only appearance is his slumped over, cocked head, and mouth agape pose. Taking that and the Fredbear plush from Sister Location into consideration, I decided to alter the plush in a similar way. So, here we go. A slightly cocked head and an open mouth. Funko has only attempted an open mouth plush on a few occasions with varying degrees of success. Usually they just fake it with a little thin piece of fabric on the chest to act as the bottom of the jaw, and the inside of the mouth printed on the neck and lower face to make it sort of look like an open mouth. For this plush, we have a legit open mouth with some black material on the inside and some little teeth flaps along the bottom jaw. For this, I looked at some various plushes with open mouths, like this Bowser and Morton Jr., this baby Kermit, and these Stitches. So, the eyes. Both Freddy and Sanchi kept the bulging spherical eyes and just made them black, which I don't need to tell you doesn't make sense given that Golden Freddy has only hollow eye holes. Obviously, we can't have literal holes in the plushie, so instead I have some flat black cloth circles sewn on with a little ring seam around them for some cleanliness. And some little white shine spots sewn on like so, just to give him that empty, glazed over look. And of course, the rest of him is just a recolor of our Freddy. So, I know this is a FNAF 1 video, but since we're already here, bam, there's a Fredbear plush. Might as well. I altered the eyes slightly to be the white dots instead of the shines, just like the one in Sister Location and the FNAF 4 sprite itself.
That's poggers.
Awesome, epic, great. So, there's all the plushie fixin' for FNAF 1.
I keep saying poggers. I can't believe it.
There's a character from the first game that doesn't have a plush yet? Well, fiddle my fucking bitty babs. Who could it be? That's right, I'm making my first original FNAF plush, and that's Phone Guy.
Oh!
No, of course I'm kidding. Who would want to plush off his phone? And no,
Fucking hell.
3, 2, 1, bing!
It's no surprise that this more obscure and less popular FNAF character doesn't have its own plushie. Not only is there like no demand for him, I can see this complex and less cute design being a lot more difficult to convert to plushie form.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, I'm doing it. So here comes the more difficult part of fitting the weirder designs into plushie format. With Endo, he's a super thin, spindly mess of bars and beams, which you can't really just stick on the other's chubby teddy bear body template. Kind of like what they did for the puppet, which did not work at all. So we'll have to get a bit creative by taking the most prominent shapes of his design and applying it roughly to the plushie silhouette. And this is what I came up with. We have this sort of shape here for his chest, acting as a base, with an upside down, much smaller one connected at the bottom for the pelvis. On the front of his large chest portion, we have a plush T-shape stuck to the front. This gives him the basic appearance of his skeleton-esque robot chest without literally being just some beams sewn together, which I don't need to tell you would not work as a plushie. Then we have his arms coming off the sides and his legs coming off the front, attached to both sides of the pelvic shape in the sort of sitting pose that the others are in. These 4 limbs are thinner versions of the other chubby limb shapes. Then the main attraction, the doofy head. Once again, a chunky rectangular and boxy shape, a lot bigger and thicker than the body. Think a Minecraft plush cube head, but about half the thickness. This is securely attached to the body along with this round shape on the back. This is on the original design, but also has the double function of adding extra support for his big plush head. Also, because the mass of the plushie is way greater at the top than the bottom, which was the opposite on the others, will most likely need some weight in the very bottom to keep his huge head from, you know, keeping him from sitting upright. A lot of the plushies you can find actually use these little plastic beads in the bottom or feet to do this, so the plush is weighed down enough to sit upright but can still be squished and hugged, as opposed to just a huge chunk of solid plastic or something. For the mouth, we have 2 thin rectangular shapes sticking out for his weird duck mouth shape thing, and some teeth flaps. I then added all these other details that I don't really need to go into specifics for. But it's worth mentioning that I did try my best to not go overboard and clutter him too much. I actually think I did a pretty good job making this obtuse design into a cute little squishy fella that fits in with the others. Oh, how I wish he was real. And that does it. All 7 FNAF 1 characters made into proper marketable plushie forms.
Marketable plushies!
Really fun video to make, so thank you to anyone that stuck through till the end, hopefully. Possibly. I'd love to make more of these for the other 7 or so games and fill out an entire make-believe plushie collection. That's at least the plan, as long as this video gets at least some traction and interest, maybe? This was an experiment of sorts to test these funky YouTube waters, in a sense. So if you enjoyed it and would like to see more, tell me in the comments. Trust me, I will read every single one of those bad boys. And if you disagreed or didn't care for any of my hypothetical designs, I would honestly love to hear that input as well. Tell me your genuine thoughts, yo. Anyways, hope you all had a great day. And hey, gamers, game on, you know what I'm saying?
So, okay, so there's a part 2 to that. I might react to that one day. But okay, let me get my thoughts on this. So, wow, this was a really, really good video. I greatly enjoyed it. It was... Sorry, I'm still eating a little bit. Give me like 5 seconds. Okay, that's enough. So, this video was greatly, very good. Very well made, very well edited, very well just... It didn't bore you with, a ton of details, other than the ones that you needed to know, like the changes, the changes and all that stuff that they made to the Funko Pops, the Funko, plushies, and also to like how the old designs were kind of bad, and it just hit a ton of points there, and honestly, that was very impressive. I was very, very, very much enjoying that, like the whole way through. It was Ooh, my bad. I about to burp. Alright, okay, so, but, yeah, like I was saying, that was greatly well made. Very well, just, really, how do I describe it? Very well condensed, very well organized. And honestly, funny. It was funny as heck. And I don't know how they made this video funny. It was just talking about plushies and what they fix about them. But honestly, it was very good. It was so good. And I might react to the next one, maybe the next time. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot. So go show the original creator some, support. I'll leave a link to the original video in the description below, as well as at the end card over here, where you can go check it out. And of course, if you made it to the end of this long video, it's 30 minutes, then, subscribe, like the video. And, of course, subscribe, like, notifications on. Yeah, please. We're almost at 300 subscribers, and honestly, if we hit it by the end of this video, or maybe tomorrow, I'll be very happy with that. And honestly, just thank you. And in general. Anyways, I gotta go. I've been in here for too long. I'll see you boys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't let anybody bring you down. And of course, hope you guys enjoyed. Okay, anyways, I'll be seeing you boys tomorrow. Have a good day. And I'll be seeing you in the next video. Goodbye.